Welcome to today's explainer, motivational speaker versus authoritative speaker. Have you ever listened to someone and just wanted to jump right out of your seat and conquer the world? And then you hear someone else and you're just nodding slowly, finally understanding some super complex truth. Today, we're diving into the hidden architecture of speaking. We're going to uncover how the absolute best communicators actually rewire our minds step by step.
Let's dive right in. When you picture a motivational speaker, what pops into your head? Probably someone pacing back and forth on a stage, right? Speaking loudly, maybe even shouting with all this fiery passion. But is loud always motivational? It's time to bust that myth right now. We constantly confuse a speaker's volume with their actual underlying purpose.
Here's the real truth. Volume, emotion, all that visible confidence, those are literally just delivery vehicles. A completely soft-spoken, quiet person can be deeply authoritative. And on the flip side, an aggressive, fiery speaker might just be trying to motivate you. It's really not about how they sound. It's entirely about the exact effect they're aiming for in your mind. So, if volume isn't the magic ingredient, what actually is? Let's break it down. Motivation is all about raising your inner energy. It pushes possibility to basically activate the listener. A motivational speaker's entire goal is to awaken your willingness to try. They want to make taking a scary new step feel emotionally worth the effort. They're answering that quiet internal hesitation that whispers, "I'm just not ready."
Think of a completely cold car engine just sitting still in a driveway. You turn the key, and it doesn't instantly run at full power, right? It needs that initial ignition push. Motivation is exactly that initial spark that gets the whole system moving. It's not going to drive the entire journey for you, but it absolutely gives you the momentum you need to just get out of the driveway.
Now, on the flip side, let's look at authority. Authoritative speaking is a completely different tool. It's used to establish confidence and acclaim and lower your confusion. You don't use authority when you need a huge boost in energy. You use it when you're confused and you desperately need a reliable frame of reference. Authority settles uncertainty. Imagine you're completely lost in the woods. You really don't need a cheerleader with a megaphone jumping around telling you that you're an amazing hiker. No, you need a compass. A compass doesn't motivate you, it doesn't cheer you on, and it definitely doesn't make the mountain any shorter. It simply points to a completely dependable standard, a stable true north. And that is exactly what authority does.
To really lock this in, let's map it out using 4 simple questions. First, what is the speaker trying to create? Well, motivation creates energy, while authority creates clarity. Second, what are you meant to feel? Activated versus grounded. Third, what problem is actually being solved here? Hesitation versus uncertainty. And finally, the outcome. Movement versus alignment. Seeing it like this shifts your focus entirely away from a speaker's flashy style and directly onto their actual psychological purpose. Picture the vast difference between a coach and a judge. A coach desperately wants their team to play with total belief and intensity. They're actively building an inner fire. A judge, though? A judge isn't trying to energize the courtroom. The judge is there to render a valid, legitimate ruling that everyone can trust. Both are highly respected figures, for sure, but they use entirely different mechanisms to influence our behavior. Let's look at the listener's actual condition for a second. If someone is stuck in doubt, it's kind of like a lamp with an unplugged cord. You don't need a brand new light bulb, you need power. That's motivation. But if a listener is misled or just really confused, it's like a lamp with a loose bulb connection. The power is already there, but the connection is just flickering. They don't need a pep talk. They need the secure, tight fit of authority.
If you take away just one single thing from this entire explainer, let it be this exact phrase. Motivation helps you believe you can move. Authority helps you believe the frame is reliable. It really is that straightforward. Motivation lifts your energy, and authority settles meaning.
Let's dig just one layer deeper here. Both of these speaking styles are actually belief-building machines, but they target completely different forms of internal resistance. Motivation builds self-belief. It directly answers that paralyzing fear of, "I can't do this." Authority, on the other hand, builds frame belief, answering the frustrating confusion of, "I have absolutely no idea which rule applies here."
Think of self-belief as a rider on a bicycle sitting at the very bottom of a massive, steep hill. They don't need a complicated physics lecture, they just need a massive push to start pedaling. Frame belief is way different. It's like proving a stone bridge is structurally sound before someone dares to walk across it. One style creates the willingness to take a step, while the other proves the step is actually safe to take.
But here's where the magic really happens. The absolute best speakers out there, they almost always blend these two modes together. Why? Because the real world is incredibly messy. People usually need to know both things. They need to know that they're personally capable of doing something, and they need to know that the instructions they're following are actually completely trustworthy. Let's look at a high-stakes, real-world example to see this blend in action. Imagine a massive public health campaign during a scary disease outbreak. The announcement says, "Your family can protect itself. These are the official guidelines from the health authority." Notice what's happening there. The speaker doesn't just bark a list of rules at you, and they don't just give a fluffy pep talk. They do both. Breaking that down, the hidden architecture becomes so obvious. Step 1, your family can protect itself. That builds the courage to care. It lowers the emotional cost and practically gives you permission to try. That's pure motivation. Then, step 2 immediately follows. These are the official guidelines. This provides the exact correct frame for action, giving you a totally reliable rule to trust. Pure authority. Turning someone's attention into actual behavior usually requires exactly this 1-2 punch. So, how do we actually apply this in real life? I want you to become a persuasion diagnostician. The very next time you hear a speech, a lecture, or heck, even a pitch from a friend, I want you to step back from their tone of voice. Ask yourself, what is this speech trying to create in me right now? Are they trying to create movement, or are they trying to create trust? You can literally use these specific questions to hear the gears turning beneath anyone's tone. Are they building momentum, or are they building legitimacy? Ask yourself, do I currently need encouragement because I'm feeling stuck, or do I need a dependable frame because I'm just confused? Knowing this helps you stop judging speakers just by their charisma and start genuinely understanding their actual function. Always remember this core rule. Motivation lifts energy. Authority settles meaning. When you really start to recognize this, speeches that used to just feel generically good will start separating naturally in your mind. You're going to clearly see the exact mechanics of how communication actively shapes human behavior. Which brings us to our final thought. Now that you can clearly see the hidden system underneath the tone, the power is entirely in your hands. The next time you need to persuade someone, whether it's a friend, a team, or a massive audience, ask yourself what they actually need from you in that exact moment. Will you be their spark, or will you be their compass?